This was very transparent, smooth, and it was a quick process. And I encourage everybody to come out and vote today. And
Okay. It's just about, let's say, 8:30. What time did you come and what time did you get through?
okay, so I just came like in past 5 minutes, and I got through. I got through very quick. I was like, from now was like 3 minutes after. Yeah, it was a very smooth process, transparent and quick.
Is this your first time voting?
Yeah, I am a first-time voter.
And you have with you your family. Tell us about your
Yes.
family.
All right, this is my brother. He's a first-time voter also. The process is very smooth for him too. This is my mom.
Process was easy.
Yeah.
Process was easy.
Come tell me about this is obviously not your first elections.
No.
So can you come join us here? And tell us a bit about the process. Tell us what happened when you went inside and what
It
happened.
was easy. Everything was easy. I just swear because I had a passport. Everything was easy.
Okay. Or do you have a message for voters today?
Come out and vote.
Thank you very much, dear.
Husband and a son.
Oh, so this is a family of two sons, the mom, the dad, and their two sons. They came here to the Monrepo Primary School to cast their ballots on E-Day 2025. Now we're continuing to bring you live coverage of our Election Day activities from all across the country. And now I'm joining you from the Monrepo Primary School. Of course, I was previously in Pleasance, and at Pleasance, we saw quite a number of persons going in to cast their ballots, and that was a smooth process. There was a huge crowd. There was a sizable crowd at Pleasance, and we saw persons go in and out quite quickly. Now we have Mr. Nandlall just coming here at Monrepo. Mr. Nandlall, can you join us to give us a quick comment? Mr. Nandlall will join us shortly. He's heading inside. Mr. Nandlall, of course, represents the People's Progressive Party Civic, and he has served as Ghana's Attorney General, my apologies, over the past 5 years. Mr. Nandlall going inside to observe the processes unfolding there. But from our position outside here, we can only see persons coming out after casting their ballots. Just have to pull in the corner here, a vehicle is coming. We just heard from a family. They said the process of voting took them just about 5 minutes, so it was a smooth and efficient process for them as well. Now, Monrepo is still part of Region 4, and Region 4, of course, has the largest voting population. There are over 323,000 registered voters for this region, and of course, nationally, that's across all 10 administrative regions. There are over 757,000 persons expected to vote today. Those are the registered voters for today. And those persons can vote at over 2,700 polling stations all across the country. Now, we've been bringing you live coverage since early this morning, since before voting started at 6 o'clock. And we've seen so far that GCAM staff are in place. Police officers are also in place. Of course, officers voted before, and they are now on standby working at polling stations all across the country, providing necessary support as these election day activities unfold. Now, what we heard from the Chief Elections Officer, Vishnu Prasad, yesterday, is that there are over 8,000 police officers all across the country, and they will be providing necessary support today. Of course, there are over 13,000 polling day staff. And additionally, just to give you some more numbers, since we're talking about numbers, there are also over 500 local observers and over 200 international observers. And those are all persons you will be seeing at polling stations across the country today. Of course, observers, like party agents, are there to observe the process and ensure that the process is unfolding in a transparent way and to allow everyone a fair chance at casting their ballot today. So that's it with our coverage here for now. I'm Bashani Ragibir. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishani. We can now go further down on the East Coast, where our reporter Avinash Ramzan, he is in Enmore, and he can give us a sense of what is happening there. Avinash?
Thank you very much, Neil, and good morning to all of those tuning into our live coverage of election. A smooth sailing generally in Enmore so far. A number of polling stations have been set up across the community And what has been the general thing is that a lot of persons have gone out very early this morning. It has been generally smooth, as I said, and there haven't been a build-up of persons at these stations. It has been very quick process. People have gone in, cast their ballot, come out back, and they're basically back home and, reflecting on what will take place here today and the possible outcome of these elections. But as I said, people have been coming out very, very early. Of course, this is a community that has been known to wake up early because of the sugarcane community, an estate here, and a lot of persons would wake up early to get to work. So this is nothing new for them, and they've been out very early. A lot of first-time voters as well, Neil, and they've been very eager to exercise their franchise and ensure that they have a say at these elections. It's generally very smooth so far, and no issues to report at this point in time.
Thank you, Avinash. Obviously, I'm a student. I'm not able to get a sense of what's happening outside. I was asking Sharda early on about the general mood of the place. It seems a bit different than previous elections. I wondered what it's like at Enmore.
Well, it's a very somber mood. Today being a holiday as well, a lot of persons are back home and maybe just tuning into the different platforms. Everybody now is streaming to their different platforms, and people are tuning in to see exactly what is happening, what's going to be the outcome. Previous elections, you would see people gathering at the street corners and, talking about different things and talking about the politics of the day. But we haven't seen that in Enmore this time. A lot of persons are basically back home. They went out early, and they're basically tuned into their, the different devices, ensuring that they keep abreast with what is happening in their community, of course, and across the other regions.
Thank you very much, Avinash, and we'll check in.
Norton, just come close, guys. One at a time, as you get everybody.
Yes, Mr. Norton, how was the process?
Well, the first thing I had to object to how they place the voting booth. The law says that the scrutineers must see the body of the person voting, though they must be able to see where they, except for one of the buildings, all the rest were wrong. So I had them change, and I'm going to ask our chief scrutineer to send out a general notice to say to people they should stop the voting if they cannot see the person. Because you could tell me the person putting a cell phone there, if the person has two cell phones. So that is the first thing. Outside of that, it looks normal.
But does any political party have the authority to recommend the stopping or call or stop the voting?
The person, the agent, can reject it, and the law says that once an agent is appointed, they have to be in the process. So if they object, going forward, who will sign the statement of poll and so? So there is power that inherent in it that could be utilized.
I know you've had a long campaign, but now that you've cast your ballot, as of today, what do these elections mean for you and your party?
Well, it means more for the people of Guyana than me. I would say these elections are critical because it's an opportunity to ensure there's a reallocation of the resources that come from oil to the people of Guyana, rather than the present approach in which most of the resources go to family, friends, and favorites. The second thing that makes these elections important is that the government has launched on a path of directing, dominating, and controlling public servants, everyone. So in some regard, a victory for us is a victory for freedom. But the other thing that I think this election should be recognized for is that it is the first full election, I would say, the first general and regional elections after the utilization of oil resources. And we had the opportunity to point out to the Guyanese people that the resources from oil and gas are not meeting them. And therefore we undertook to ensure that those resources meet the people of Guyana with our people-centered development strategy.
Mr. Norton, last night we heard of persons transporting ballot boxes to bordering communities, along with members of the joint services coming under attack. Could you respond to that, sir?
Well, first of all, I'm always in solidarity with our joint services, but this government has enough resources to purchase boats that have some kind of protection. Imagine in this modern era with oil in wanton numbers. You have people in a wooden boat that a bullet goes through it, it sinks. Additionally, I've always argued, even when I met President Ali, that we need to have the technology installed at the border areas so that you can keep up to date with what is happening on the border and not have to wait till what happens if they shot everybody in that boat? There's no mechanism for the government to know until somebody come up on it. So we have to use the technology to disposal to ensure that we can secure our borders. And so I would say the soldiers are at a disadvantage. The other thing is that the government has whittled down the training of the Ghana Defence Force. I think we need to ramp it up. There was a time when the Ghana Defence Force was one of the best in jungle warfare. Now, if Kapa Puku men are developing the guts to attack you, it is saying that they don't have respect for you. And therefore, I believe we need to put the training to where it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, so that any action, people would recognize that you have well-equipped soldiers there that could deal with it. As it stands, it seems to be a free-for-all. Anybody with a bad man name could come, do what they want, and go about their business. And you get a report from the chief of staff saying they're monitoring it, all is good. It's the day when it becomes fatal, then you will.
Mr. Norton, you earlier talked about the reallocation of oil resources. Sir, regardless of how this election goes, Guyana will continue to earn more revenue from the oil sector in the coming years. Politically speaking, where do you stand with respect to any sort of shared governance or executive power sharing so that the country can manage the resources collectively? At least that's what some people want.
I have no problem with shared governance, but don't forget, shared governance is part of what is called consociational democracy. And there are various types of shared governance. So to just say shared governance, for instance, you can do weighted majority voting, meaning that if you're going to pass a measure, it has to have a certain percentage of the opposition, a certain percentage of the government. And that is a good mechanism to ensure that there is compromise and consensus. But people tend to restrict power sharing to sharing of government positions. There are a number of approaches to shared governance. I embrace shared governance as a concept, but will be very particular, meticulous as it comes to which one of the systems of shared governance we will use, or if we will come up with a hybrid, kind of an eclectic approach where we pull from.
Thank you.
Mr. Norton, can we have a photo with your finger, please?
I didn't even remember it.
Mr. Norton, for persons who haven't voted, just share with them how important is it for them to vote?
Well, in the first case, when you do not vote, you are going to allow people to make decisions for you without your input. And so the first thing I would say to young people is look at the manifestos, look at the policies, and then make a decision as to where to vote. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say to young people, that if you become estranged from the political process, you will not be able to impact it. Our slate had a plethora of youths who have impacted our manifesto and the decisions we would have made. So for me, it's a critical element of democracy for people to vote. But remember, democracy has two elements. One is procedural. This is procedural. Then there is the substantive. After you get government, how you govern, the governance issue. And I would say to young people, you have to look at both possibilities and vote in a way to reassure yourself that those who come to power will really and truly make democracy substantive rather than the parochial thing we got here, in which there's clearly straight elements of authoritarianism and dictatorship, and that cannot be in consonance with democracy.
One more time with your finger, sir. One more time with your finger.
Is it your phone in good or not?
My phone.
And Mr. Article, please, Mr. Norton.
Let me put it high. That's it?
Thank you. And go back home. It's a public holiday.
Can you speak to a concern raised by at least one of the political parties contesting the elections regarding police officers and their cameras? Are you able to using cameras at the polling stations and places?
So this issue of the use of cameras in the polling station is a hotly debated topic. As you know, the prohibition is not for use of cell phones or cameras in the polling stations. In an effort to maintain the secrecy of the ballot, prohibition is against the use of cameras or cell phones in the voting compartments. So in terms of the use of police and I think the issue is the body cameras, that is standard police protocol, and I don't believe it breaches the secrecy of the polling station. But of course, that is not a decision, or those are my personal views, and that's not a decision that I can make on my own.
As voters continue to file in to polling places and stations across the country, what can you help provide some tips or so for them to ensure that it's a smooth process?
So the standard protocol is to produce your identification card, your national identification card. But you also know that in the absence of the national identification card, a valid passport, a valid driver's license are also acceptable forms of identification. But in the absence of any of that, a person will still be allowed to vote as long as their name is on that list of electors at that polling station. So that is important. And we've seen for the most part that is happening all day.
Is there any special arrangements or so, or that GCOM maybe took into consideration for elderly persons? We've seen at least one instance just at Pleasance. One person wasn't feeling well, and there are several elderly persons who are turning up early to the polling stations and have to be in the lines. Are there any special provisions?
Generally, outside of Elections Day, as humans, we try to give priority to certain classes of people. Elderly persons, the differently able, pregnant persons, pregnant women, etc. So I expect no less facilities or no less courtesies to be extended to those persons. I don't believe that is something that GCOM has to specify specifically, because common courtesy at the polling station should allow those things to happen naturally.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gunraj.
Welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
Are casting their ballots. So far, we have visited several parts of Central and North Georgetown. That includes Christchurch Secondary, St. John's College. We've also been to Sophia, as I mentioned earlier, and also Campbellville Secondary School. Those places earlier in the morning, around just before the polls were open, had some action, including some of the GCOM staff being there and obviously preparing for the opening of the polls. Since then, we've seen a few people cast their ballots and they've left, and more are coming out. Of course, again, it is not in huge crowds, but they are coming out and we are seeing them going to the polls.
Have people been complaining?
Less than likely. We had one point where the media, that is, was told of a situation where a person with a disability needed some assistance. Of course, that assistance was rendered because, again, every person is, it's their constitutional right to vote. So they are being assisted in ways, in whatever ways they need to be.
And you've just come from the F.E. Pollard Primary School, where the Carter Center spoke with the media. Can you tell us some of the things they said?
Yes, of course. So the chief of the mission, Jason Carter, he was there, of course, and he addressed the reporters on the ground there. Basically, he has expressed again that while they are on the ground, they are, of course, observing what is happening. So far, again, the report that we have been told from them as of this moment, it is a smooth flow. Of course, it is only a couple hours in, but they're also hopeful that the rest of the day will go just as smooth. They have also indicated that by September 3rd, that they should be able to have a preliminary statement based on what they would have observed during this 2025 general and regional election.
Thank you very much, Lazina, and we'll continue to keep touch with you during the day.
Great, thank you, Neil.
This is the newsroom, and we're covering elections 2025. Voting in elections 2025 is continuing all across Guyana. We can now go to Corriverton on the Quarantine Coast, where the mayor, Mr. Imran Amin, has voted, and he spoke with reporters.
Yeah. You go in, the clerk collected your ID card, take your name off the check list from the voters list. You go to the PO or the other designated clerk. They take your ID card, they enlighten you how to vote. At the same time, they show you how to fold the ballot. You proceed, you vote, come back, you put your ballot, you hold the ballot, tuck your finger into the ink, and drop your ballot in the box. A minute process.
Well, that's
of course it is
and,
a smooth.
do you suppose the turnout is going to be later on in the day, or is it that people are just coming along as they get their work done at home and just hoping that they will not catch a crowd, but they may themselves end up in a crowd later on?
I think that because of the way the process is going, and because of the smoothness that is happening, there won't be a build-up of crowd at this station, at least, because it takes you a minute. So you get a person in and out in a minute, I don't think you're going to have crowd
And there are probably
building
several...
up. That has to vote at this one particular polling place is on the voters list is about 200 and not 319, but you don't have that amount in actuality.
Okay, so it's one of the small polling stations
Yes,
around.
yes.
Okay, and so you're fortunate.
Yes, I live right close by, 2 houses away from here.
All right, and so Ms. Mia, what can you tell us of your own personal opinion?
Well, it depends on what you want to know.
Well, what are your projections, if you don't mind, if we can put you on the spot?
Well, my projection is that the PPP is definitely going to win this election. That's my projection.
Well, I see in your red chart.
The PPP is going to win this election. That's my projection.
And
I will give you a scenario. This is like a race with Usain Bolt, Bailey, and the other guy, where Usain Bolt is already at the finish line, and the 2 of them deciding who is going to bring second or third.
And so it comes as to who be coming in second or third.
It just depends on who did more work, who put in the extra effort to get more work. That is the person who's going to be in the second place.
So the official opposition.
And again, I'm going to say, it depends on the amount of work they put in and the support they garner from the public.
So
I have a lot of work to do. I got to ensure every one of our supporters within the district of Corriverton is out and voted. Although I am designated to this particular area, but my task stretches across Corriverton, and I have to ensure that is my task, and I have to. The PPP government has to remain there, go for a second term, President Dear Finale, and it is my duty to ensure that I have all our supporters to come out and vote solidly for the cup. No, this is always a quiet area, and I would speak for basically the entire Region 6. There is not much of an uproar that happens when the result is very dissatisfied with the result. They are, but at the end of the day, life goes on. Everybody has to return to what they're doing.
And so you would probably say that measures are in place that
Of course. That is a commitment by the government to ensure if there's an unrest in any one of these areas, measures are in place to take care of that.
We're just looking at the mayor of Corriverton, Imran Amin, after he cast his vote there at the number 79 Municipal Nursery School. As we mentioned earlier, the Carter Center is among international observers for these elections. They spoke with reporters at the F.E. Pollard Primary School in Georgetown. We can now bring you footage from that interaction.
Good morning, my name is Jason Carter. I'm the chair of the Carter Center and I'm the leader of this Carter Center election observation mission here in Guyana. It's a great honor for us to be here to observe the Guyanese people as they select their leaders. And as we know, the Carter Center has been here for many, many elections in this country, and we are honored again to be here. This morning we sent observers into the polling stations in every single region. And this evening we'll have people in every single tabulation center for the next couple of days. And so we feel excellent about our team that's come in. And of course there's a consortium of other international observers that are also here. So we've been coordinating with them as well, and we've had the opportunity to meet with the leadership of a number of the political parties and to be here. Although we have a limited mission, we've been here for some weeks to observe the pre-election process, and we'll be here through the tabulation process. So so far our observers have been well treated, and we are
stations to cast their ballots. And with me I have a voter who didn't vote at this polling station. He voted at Montrose, which is nearby, but he came here to assist a relative who has a disability to vote. So first, tell us about your experience voting.
It was okay, it was smooth, everything go nice, and it's still early, but we hope that the day can be a better day and everything goes smooth, and whatever the result, we asking everybody to accept it and that we move on, building the country to a better stage.
Sure. So we were talking earlier and you told me that you came to Success, to the Chateau Margaux Primary School, to assist your brother-in-law, brother-in-law who has a disability. Tell us, how was the process of voting for him?
It was good. You go, you do what you have to do. They try the best to how they can assist him because he have a disability, and thankful for it that he get to vote, and everything was so smooth and calm. And I asked everybody to come out and, you know, introduce their rights. You understand? The right to vote to whoever they want to vote to.
Thank you very much, sir. There you heard from a voter who voted at the Montrose Primary School, which is nearby, and we're reporting live from the Chateau Margaux Primary School, which is one of the polling places for today's E-Day activities. Now, of course, over 757,000 voters are expected to vote today. Those are the registered voters, and Chateau Margaux, like all of the other places I've been reporting from so far for the morning, is on the east coast of Demerara, and the east coast of Demerara, of course, is part of Region 4, which is Guyana's most populated region. The largest number of registered voters are also in this region. There are over 323,000 voters in this region alone, out of the total of over 557,000 voters. Now, just to tell you just a bit more again, if you're now joining us, about what's happening here at Chateau Margaux. Here in Chateau Margaux, we see a steady flow of persons going in and out. Persons are casting their ballots. Good morning. Would you be willing to talk to us about the process? We have a steady flow of persons going in and out, casting their ballots here at Chateau Margaux. There's several polling stations within this polling place, and what we've heard so far is that the process is unfolding in a smooth manner, as I have heard at other polling places along the east coast of Demerara. Of course, we're continuing our live coverage of the Elections Day activities all across the country, and that's it for me for now.
Thank you, Vishani. And we go over on the east bank of Demerara now to Diamond, where we have Isanella Patois.
Good morning once again. This is Isnella Patwa coming to you live from the East Bank of Demerara. This time we're coming to you live from the Diamond Health Center, where we have a resident who just cast his ballot in the 2025 general and regional elections, Mr. Prasad. Mr. Prasad, thank you so much for joining us here today. Can you tell us how was the process for you this morning?
Oh, the process was very smooth, and I would advise everyone to come out. And
What time did you come here? What time did you get to cast your vote?
like in half an hour, yes, in half an hour.
Okay. No major issues.
No issues, no problem. Everything is smooth.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was Mr. Prasad, a resident of Diamond here on the East Bank of Demerara. He is one of many voters who we've spoken to this morning along the East Bank, who all reported that the process was smooth. There were some instances where the presidential candidates for two political parties, that is We Invest in Nationhood and the Alliance for Change, those presidential candidates reported that the process, while smooth, it was a bit slow. This is us coming to you live from the Diamond Health Center here on the East Bank of Demerara as we bring you coverage today, Guyana's general and regional elections from the East Bank as well as other parts of the country. The process has been relatively smooth. It is now about 3 hours since polls opened with no major disruptions. Of course, polls will close at 6 p.m. this evening, after which the votes cast will be counted. The Ghana Elections Commission has said that the results could be known by September 3rd or the next day. We are bringing you updates. I'm on the East Bank, which is Sub-District 1 in District 4 of these elections. So far, like I've said before, there's been no major disruption to the voting process. Persons who visit the various polling stations where they are registered to vote and can vote have reported a very smooth process, a timely process at most cases. There is also a police presence at every single police station my apologies, at every single polling station that we have visited, as well as an information desk to help voters identify where they can vote. A polling place, it is important to note that a polling place can have more than one polling stations, and there are over 2,000 polling stations all across Guyana where persons can cast their ballots in the 2025 general and regional elections. I am Isanello Patwa. Thank you for joining us, and we will continue to bring you more coverage along the East Bank and as the day progresses, as voting continues until the close of polls and the coming days after. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Isanella, reporting there from Diamond on the East Bank of Demerara. And as we have been reporting, these elections so far have been conducted in a peaceful manner, and the voting process has been smooth and efficient. Of course, it's just 3 hours into voting, and the hope is that things will continue that way. But there are some people who are intent on spreading mischief, and the Ghana Police Force has decided to come out with a statement warning against any such behavior. The police force on its Facebook page, Ghana Police Force, there you can check it, they've issued a statement that says, knowingly spreading false information with intent to create fear, panic, or public disorder constitutes an offense under Guyana's criminal law. The Ghana Police Force will act firmly against anyone who seeks to mislead or destabilize the public by spreading false information. I can actually read to you the full statement that they issued minutes ago. It says that under the Criminal Law Offences Act, Chapter 801, any person who incites others to commit wrongdoing or attempts to create unrest commits an offense and will be prosecuted. Under the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act, Chapter 802, it is also an offense for any person to aid, abet, or incite unlawful behavior. In addition, the Cybercrime Act, number 16 of 2018, makes it an offense to use a computer system or social media platform to knowingly spread false information or to incite hostility and public disorder, including the incitement of racial or ethnic hostility or the advocacy of violence or unrest. The police force says that these provisions apply whether the offender is in Guyana or overseas. If the effect of the act is felt in Guyana, the offense is prosecutable under Guyanese law. The Guyana Police Force, again, saying it will act firmly against anyone who seeks to mislead or destabilize the public by spreading false information. The police force is urging all citizens to be vigilant and safety and order. That very strong message from the Guyana Police Force. We can go back to Diamond on the east bank of Demerara and join Isanella Patwa.
I'm coming to you live again from the Diamond Health Center where we are with Mr. McLean. Is it Mr. McLean? Yes, a resident of Diamond who just voted in the 2025 general and regional elections. Mr. McLean, how was the process for you?
Good morning. Good morning. It was quite fair and it was, easy. I got through quickly. I don't know my letter, and it took me less than 10 minutes, and I'm out of here.
What do you mean by letter?
My letter of my name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it was a very short, and in less than 10 minutes, I'm out of here.
How was the process compared to other elections that you would have voted in?
It's like the same process of the other elections that I voted in. Yeah. So it's like quite smooth. It's quite smooth so far. Thank God that everything is.
Thank you so much, Mr. McLean.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you for holding my umbrella too.
All right.
All right, that was Mr. McLean, a resident of Diamond, who just voted in the regional and general elections for this year. He is also, like many other voters that we would have spoken to, is reporting a very smooth electoral process here on the East Bank in Electoral District, Sub-District 1, where this is part of the District 4, which is the largest voting district in the country, with over 300,000 registered voters registered to vote in these elections. A total of over 750,000 persons are registered to vote in these elections all across Guyana. This is just one of the polling stations. That voters will get the opportunity to vote up until 6 p.m. this afternoon. Like I said, this is the Diamond Health Center, where we will continue to visit this and many other polling stations across this sub-district 1 to bring you updates about the voting process. So far, like Mr. McLean just said, and a number of other voters we spoke to, the process has been smooth. There's been no disruption. And it's just about over 3 hours since polls opened promptly at 6 a.m. across the country. This is Isanella Patwa, and we'll continue to bring you more coverage on the East Bank and other parts of the country.
Now, before we joined Isanella Patwa, we were telling you about that very strong statement coming from the Guyana Police Force warning anyone against spreading any sort of information that could create panic. And that's especially so on this election day, September 1st, 2025. There are a number of offenses that people can go to jail for today, and so you want to be wary of those. Among them, of course, as we mentioned, spreading hate speech and organizing election-related violence. So far, in the 3.5 hours or so since voting started, we've not seen any major incidents. The voting process has gone on pretty smoothly. I do want to tell you about the other offenses that you can go to jail for, and that includes interfering with election officials, obstructing or threatening election workers. So none of that is allowed when you enter a polling station. You cannot damage electoral materials or remove or deface any of the signs that you see put up around the place. Of course, the very crucial or significant offense that you can commit on election day is trying to vote more than once and trying to impersonate someone. That is, casting a vote as someone else or using someone else's identification. You are looking at images as people line up to vote on this elections day. They're voting in general and regional elections, so those who are voting have been told to vote twice, once at the top, one at the bottom, for general and regional elections. We have been covering for District 4 the voting process along the East Bank, the East Coast, and Georgetown. Those are 3 sub-districts in which Region 4 or District 4 rather falls under. Since the last elections, as we mentioned before, some districts, the larger electoral districts, which correspond to the country's administrative regions, have been broken up, if you will, into separate divisions. So in region number 4, or district number 4, we have 4 sub-districts, and that is North Georgetown, South Georgetown, the East Bank, and the East Coast. They make up the 4 districts in District 4, and each of those districts have a supernumerary officer. That's the person who is in charge of the particular districts. They all report to a district returning officer, and for the purpose of tabulating results in these elections. There are 2 other regions in which there are sub-districts, and those are region number 3, which has 3 sub-districts, and region number 6, which has 3 sub-districts as well. All the other electoral districts are counted as a single district. So districts 1 to 10 are voting in these elections. As we've been mentioning, over 750,000 persons register to vote today. There are 65 seats in the National Assembly up for grabs, and the party with the largest amount of seats will form the new government. This is the newsroom, and you're watching our coverage of elections 2025.
I got a real problem, buddy. I want to vote on election day, but I got to work a 12-hour shift every day from Monday to Friday, from 6 in the morning to 6 in the afternoon, boy.
I got the same problem. I registered to vote in Kitty where I live in, and I walk in still up in Linden. And I only get Sunday for go home, and then back again Monday for work.
You know, truly speaking, the hours you work in and the place where you work should not.
How come?
Listen, the law makes it absolutely clear that employers should give time off to their employees so as to vote. All you have to do is inform your employer that you need time off to exercise your constitutional right to vote.
For real? That's exactly what I can do.
Hey, me too, buddy.
Yeah.
I didn't do that so bad.
For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Yo, Ricky, I hear that you can't cheat at elections, boy. Yeah, boy. You can't cheat at elections, and if you try to cheat, you will be caught. When you are caught, you will be prosecuted in court, and if found guilty, you will go to jail and pay a big, big fine. How they will catch me if I try to cheat? GCOM has put in place several measures to identify persons who would attempt to cheat. As an ordinary voter, the measures that apply to you are ensuring that you cannot impersonate another voter, checking your fingers for the presence of indelible ink, and being scrutinized by the party agents who are stationed at the polling stations. Well, yes, Ricky, you're right, boy. Nobody can cheat.
For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Well, bye. I in that with you, cause I need a raise too.
Well, the 2 of you are gonna go ahead without me.
Because first of all, GCOM say you have to turn off your phone when you're in the police station. And secondly, if you're found guilty selling your vote, you will have to pay a fine. And that.
For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-27729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy. Official in the top section as well as the bottom section in your presence. On the ballot paper, provision is made for you to vote twice. Once at the top section where you vote for the general election and once at the bottom section where you vote for the regional election. Look for the name and symbol of the party of your choice in the top section of the ballot paper and mark your X in the empty box next to the party symbol. Then look for the name and symbol of the party of your choice in the bottom section and mark your X in the empty box next to the party's symbol. After you have voted, fold the ballot paper as shown by the election official, dip the first joint of your right index finger in the ink provided, then place the ballot paper in the ballot box. You will then have to peacefully depart the polling station. For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-27729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
What's going on here, man? Why the two of y'all look so gloomy?
Uncle Joe, you know thief man been in we house and thief all we valuables, including we ID card. Now election come around and we want to go vote. We ain't get no ID card to identify ourselves. No, we can't go vote.
Well, you need to apply to GCOM to have your ID cards replaced. But you need not worry that you won't be able to vote because you don't have your ID cards. GCOM has put other measures in place to accurately identify voters like you who may not have the ID cards.
But how they gonna do that? How they gonna know is we name on the list if we don't have ID to prove it?
In addition to your ID card, voters can present their valid passports or valid driver's license if they have these.
Really?
But further, GCOM has placed your photograph alongside your name on a folio which will be at the polling station. And if you go to the polling station without a photo ID, you will be asked to state your name and address. The elections official will look at your face and then compare it with the photo alongside your name on the folio to confirm that they are the same. Then you'll have to answer some questions to verify your identity. If the election official is satisfied that you are the person who you claim to be, you will be allowed to vote after taking an oath of identity.
So you get to vote?
For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-27729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
You're watching the newsroom. I'm Neil Marks. We've been covering elections 2025. We will take a break now and resume our coverage shortly as incumbent president, Dr. Irfan Ali.
Everyone is ready?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for coming to this press point. And it's a very important day for Guyanese democracy, and I'm very proud that European Union's election observation mission is present here during this e-day. And I want to wish you all the best for that. As you all know, today we as European Union Election Observation Mission, we have 50 observers observing the elections in many villages and towns all across Guyana, in all regions. All observers are present today observing this important part of Guyanese democracy. We are gathering information and, as you know, observing the elections. And with this, we are present from the very early morning during these elections, witnessing not only the opening of the stations across the regions, but also we will be present during whole process until this process ends. So we will be we witnessed the opening. Now we are observing the voting process, but we will be also at the tailoring and transmitting the information. We also, while collecting this information, we are transmitting our findings to our statistical hub, a special hub which we established here in Georgetown, where we gather all the information. You can imagine with 50 observers who are very active observing these elections in many parts of Guyana, we collect a lot of information. And this information is collected within our statistical hub here in Georgetown. This will give us a very clear picture from the voting process from all the regions of the country. We're really very well prepared. I just remind you, this is the biggest compoundment of the observers which observe these elections. It's 50 of us. And we are also being equipped with our specialists on different fields, also analyzing all the gathered information. This morning, as some of you witnessed, I was also observing the opening process in one of the polling stations here in Georgetown, and I will continue visiting the polling station throughout the days. I just visited, I think, the fourth or the fifth one, where the elections are going on. In the evening, me, together with other observers around the country, will follow the process of tabulation in all regions of Guyana, to have also, again, a comprehensive picture. I would like to stress something what is very important, and it's worth to stress again. We are here to observe the elections. We provide impartial, factual reports which are very valuable, I believe, for this country. Our presence aims to contribute to a better understanding of the electoral processes and over time support its improvements. This is something we very much value all across the globe, that we believe in these democratic processes, which is also Guyana part of. We are here not to interfere in any processes. I want to stress this very hard, but we are witnessing and sharing the findings in transparent and very professional manner. On behalf of our mission, let me say something very important, which you all, as citizens and the nation, Guyanese nation, deserve very well. We want to wish you a peaceful and joyful election day. It's very important for us to say, because we are here for a while already, for quite a long, and we really keep fingers crossed for the peaceful and joyful election, a day to celebrate democracy, a day where voters are able to make their free and well-informed choices through casting their vote to the ballot. Finally, I would like to invite you all for our press conference, which will be held 3rd of September at 11 o'clock in Pegasus, where we will show our preliminary findings of the elections, and after that, in 2 months, we will have full report with recommendations. But this press conference on 3rd of September will be the first comments on the electoral process in Guyana. And I want to thank you for coming today. And if you have any questions, I'm for your disposal.
What did you think about the 4 places you visited since morning? What can you say about the process?
Well, I cannot comment, Madam, on now. We are collecting the information, we are observing. So while the process is going on, our mandate, and you understand it very well, does not allow us to comment on that. But we are gathering information, we are collecting information. It's very detailed, our forms are very detailed. So you will be informed about anything was going on and anything we observed. So there will be more information provided when all the voting process is finished.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Any other questions? No? So thank you very much, and I wish you all excellent A-Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
There we have the Minister of Finance and Public Service there. The Senior Minister, Dr. Ashley Singh, sharing his views just outside of his polling place. Joining me in just a few moments is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Communications Network, who is, of course, on the ground and will be sharing with us what's happening there where he is. CEO, good morning. Tell us a little bit about what's happening over there.
Well, I'm at the Pigeon Island playfield. Behind me here, there is two polling stations on the distant, and all is going well. All the processes adhere to. Bit of a low, small trickle. So there's still a bit more to go in terms of people coming out. But nevertheless, all is going well here. I also, prior to coming to this area, I went to the Lyris souvenir. There are 3 polling stations there. Everything is well again. All systems in place, open on time. It seems that the system, if not most of them.
CEO, thank you so much for your update. We're looking forward to another update from you later in the day.
Thank you. All the best.
Safe. All right. There you have CEO Niaz Suban there on the East Coast. He's there at Pigeon Island, visited also the Lyris Souvenir Masjid, where there are polling stations there as well. And so we continue to get those updates from across the country. We want, as I was doing just before we went to the break, we were sharing with you some information about the 6 political parties, contesting political parties in this year's elections. I want to tell you a little bit about the AFC, whose party symbol is the key. Of course, the AFC was founded in 2005 as a centrist, multi-ethnic party aiming to break the traditional 2-party political divide in the country. The AFC played a pivotal role in the 2015 general elections by forming a coalition with a partnership for national unity, as we mentioned, APNU, which unseated the PPPC after 23 years in office. Of course, what is also important to mention is that the AFC was also responsible to some extent for the minority government that happened in 2011 to 2014, as they had several seats in that particular parliament. But during the coalition government, the AFC held several key ministries, but were increasingly criticized about the union, and they increasingly criticized the union for being marginalized. And following the coalition's defeat in 2020, and amid mounting internal dissatisfaction, the AFC formally withdrew from the APNU alliance, and attempts to renegotiate those coalition terms with APNU ahead of these elections in 2025 collapsed after the AFC accused the APNU of failing to embrace true partnership.
The differences that it brings in opinion, it should not cause difference in our hearts. It should not cause division in our hearts. We may support different parties. We may have difference of opinion. But let us remember the very core, the very values, and also the motto of our beautiful country, and that is one people, one nation, one destiny.
As the president of the Virat Sabha Guyana and Pandit in charge of the Alexander Village Vishnu Mandir, I would like to encourage all political leaders.
TT Campbellville area, and now we're down here in town. There is a lot going on, but currently more so to the inside. You know, we can't go too close.
Correct.
But thus far, it's a lot going on, and people are out here in their numbers and casting their ballots and placing their democratic rights.
Donnelly, tell me a little bit about the voter representation that you've seen there at St. Rose's High School. Have you seen senior citizens, young people? What is it looking like? We have a comment here from Commissioner, government appointed Commissioner Sace Gunraj on the Guyana Elections Commission, who spoke extensively outside of one of the polling stations on the process and all that GCOM is doing to make sure that it remains transparent. Let's take a look.
Good morning, Mr. Gunraj. Can you give us an update on the election day activities so far?
All right, good morning. As you know, polls have been opened just over 2 hours ago. From all reports received, most of the polling stations were opened on time, the majority of them. There were very few hiccups, which I can count on my hand of reports that I've received of polling stations not opening on time. I believe that the late opening, though unacceptable, has been denied.
Where you told me to put it.
When all is said and done, I need tips on with you to lose weight.
And I feel it's
love it.
and I feel it's so fat today. You
No,
can't
no, no,
believe
no, no,
it.
no, no, no,
I feel fat.
Do not
I
feel
barely
fat.
feel big.
No, 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 no. I am obeying you. Correct. Humble yourself.
But don't worry, when all is said and done, I will give you those tips.
I need it. Oh my God, if one of these work, 7 to about a workout.
His way in and offering brief comments, encouraging voters all across the country to participate in this process, not only at this polling station, but at polling places across the country. Voting across Guyana, we are currently at the Lenora Technical Institute on the west coast of Demerara, and we are standing by for President Dr. Irfan Ali and First Lady Arya Ali. They've gone into the polling station to cast their ballots here this morning. We anticipate that once the President emerges and comes out of the polling station, we will...
So what do you think about the turnout today?
So it's early in the day. And
our message to our supporters. You know, we did everything to plan a fantastic campaign. We ran very positive campaign, a campaign based on track record, a campaign based on trust, commitment, one that was based on unity and our country moving forward together. Now, as we said, the final part of this journey, the victory, is for all our supporters to come out and ensure that they cast their vote, and I continue to encourage all of them to ensure that before the day is out, they come out in their numbers and cast their vote and seal this victory.
You're confident about the victory?
Very much so, very much so. Very confident about the victory. You saw the campaign we ran, the numbers speak for themselves. But as I said, sealing the victory is important, and that requires all our supporters to come out and ensure that they seal the victory with their vote.
You think you could also have a majority in Parliament?
There was that incident last evening with the officers assisting in the transfer of those ballots with the boats and coming on the fire from the folks in Venezuela. How concerning is that, and what updates can you share this morning?
So, you know, first of all, it is concerning. We have had the fire from the Venezuelan side a number of times in the last couple of months. So, of course, it's concerning. The security forces are on full alert. They have the strength and they're ready. They have the equipment, and we have to understand the threat of Venezuela. We have been speaking about this throughout the campaign, that Venezuela is a threat, and we have to look at every single connection to that threat, and the security forces are on top of it.
What plans do you have to beef up the capacity of the GDF and the police in that area of Guyana?
Well, without going into details, I can tell you that the Guyana Defense Force has beefed up its not only troop, but they are in a better position. We have invested a lot, as you know, in the military. So I'm confident with what they have on our borders and the systems they have in place.
And do you support the removal of Mr. Maduro with the assistance of the...
Well, we're not going to get into that today. Today is a beautiful day. We are voting for victory today.
But yourself and Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago have endorsed the operations by the U.S.
I have made it very clear that Guyana, we support democracy. We will support anything to eliminate any threat to our security in terms of not only our sovereignty, we view our sovereignty very seriously, but also we live in a region that all of us must come together to fight transnational crime, to fight illicit drug trade, and we will support every effort to smash the illicit drug trade and transnational crime. We have to be part of every effort to tackle transnational crime. And wherever transnational crime is, whilst I've said this, we have always said consistently that this region must remain a zone of peace, and we will do everything to ensure that this region remains a zone of peace and support every effort to ensure that this region remains a zone of peace.
Do you plan to give better boats and better technology to the soldiers who patrol?
Shabral, I think you're behind time a bit. If you follow the investment we are making, I can't speak about the type of investment from a military perspective that we've been making, but I can tell you we've made serious investment in the military, and they're far better equipped as I speak to you now.
Mr. President, in the event that the election results should go your way and the other side display a certain type of behavior to create some level of unrest, because that is a concern that persons in the Caribbean have right now. What are your plans?
Listen, we have said very clearly that these elections must be peaceful, and we must all accept the will of the people. This is part of democracy, accepting the will of the people. And the security forces have said very clearly, very clearly, that should anyone step out of line in terms of the law, that they're prepared to deal with that. So I leave that in the hands of the security forces.
Mr. President, a picture of your index finger.
Madam First Lady. Camera step back, microphones push back. I just have it too. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Can we have one this one? Can she look at it? Thank you, guys.
There we heard from President Dr. Irfan Ali. Just cast this ballot at the Lenora Technical Institute here on the west coast of Demerara. Alongside him, his wife, Arya Ali, also casting her ballot at this polling station here. The president making his way out, but of course, some engagements with residents here at this polling station. The president also reporting on an orderly, smooth and efficient process, but also saying that he is confident of a victory and also confident in the ability of the security forces to maintain law and order throughout the after the close of polls and in the days ahead. There you see President Irfan Ali engaging with some of the residents of Lenora. Some of these people known very personally to the president having been born and raised here and growing up in this community, returning here to vote. The president did vote at the Lenora Technical and Vocational Training Center during the 2020 elections, the last general and regional elections we had in Guyana, and returning here in the 2025 elections to also cast his ballot.
Court.
How are you doing? All is well? Not as yet, but shortly.
Every vote counts, guys. Let's get out there. Feel this victory. Let's get out there, everybody. Feel the victory.
Some parting words there from President Dr. Irfan Ali as he makes his way out of the Lenora Technical Technical Institute here at Lenora on the west coast of Demerara, where the president has just cast his ballot, saying to those voters who are still at home, who have not cast their ballots as yet, that every vote counts, and encouraging persons to come out and vote for their preferred political party here. The president and the first lady voted here in 2020, and they have returned to vote here again in 2025. The president, a son of the soil and coming from this very community here at Lenora, where he was born and raised. The president also addressing several issues in an exit interview there with the media after voting this morning, reporting, just like every other voter, on an incident-free morning, a very smooth and orderly, peaceful process. I think the president voting lasted no more than 2 minutes here this morning, but we've had persons reporting of a process under a minute or just around a minute. The president also addressing security concerns, both locally and internationally, responding directly to the incident involving soldiers from the Ghana Defence Force that came under fire last evening while transporting Ghana Elections Commission officials and escorting ballot box and statutory documents to border locations. The president condemning that action, but also expressing full confidence in the ability of the local security forces, the Ghana Police Force, the Ghana Defence Force, to maintain law and order not only at border locations but throughout the country. The president saying also that after the close of polls, with some persons anticipating violence if the election does not go in one direction, also expressing confidence in the ability of the security forces, the Ghana Police Force, to ensure that the tabulation process after the count of polls also goes as smoothly as we have been reporting that the polling at polling places are going today. So right now we are in District 3, Essequibo Islands, West Demerara. District 3 is divided into 3 sub-districts, and we're covering polling stations all across those 3 sub-districts. Some 116,000 voters are registered to vote in this district. The number of eligible voters is slightly higher than the number of eligible voters we had reported in 2020. We've been seeing persons coming out to the polls, not particularly long lines, but a steady flow of persons to the polls here this morning. It is in fact a holiday all across Guyana. And we've also been seeing what I said earlier, the spirit of the community, where we're seeing persons using their personal vehicles, going to the homes of persons who are shut in, and just really bringing them to the polls and ensuring that they participate in what is in fact a very important process. Every Guyanese above the age of 18, an eligible voter, once registered, you'd have to go to the area where you're registered to vote. And if you still do not know where your polling place is, GCOM has put in place an online platform where you could find that information either by using your ID number or your particulars to search and find that information. But also what we've noticed is agents from political parties stationed outside of polling places alongside the roadside, also helping voters to check their names on the official list of electors to find their polling places. We covered a lot of ground already on the west coast of Demerara, where we are currently. We went as far as Parika on the east bank of Essequibo, all in the District 3. And now we will make our way further along the east bank of Demerara to continue to bring you coverage, to continue to observe the voting process, not only in District 3, but we have correspondents all across the country that will continue to bring you live coverage as part of our comprehensive coverage of elections 2025.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Kurt Campbell reporting for us there from Groundbelt on the west coast of Demerara, where President Irfan Ali and his wife, First Lady Arya Ali, have cast their ballot in these 2025 elections. We're continuing our coverage, giving you updates on the voting process all across the country. And we go now to Tapakuma on the Essequibo coast. It's one of the lake communities there. We can speak with the Tusha from the village, Keanu Thomas. Keanu, first, can you tell us a little bit about your village before you talk to us about the voting process there today?
All right, good morning. So, villages in region number 2. And we also have a lake, as you mentioned, one of the lake communities. And so far, we've had a smooth day so far, I should say.
Tell me how many people are voting in your village. How many people are part of Tapakuma?
All right, so we currently have a population of 444 residents, and about half of that is taking part in today's election process.
So tell me about the voting process. Did people come out early to vote at the opening of polls?
So yes, we've had people since around 5:30. They're assembled at the school, which is the polling station. And we've made it easier for persons to come out as well. We have organized transportation, a village bus to go around to get people to come out early. And so far, I think about half of the population have voted already. And we see more people going there now, actually. So I think around like 3, we should be finished by then.
And can you talk to me, Keanu, about the mood in the village?
It's very peaceful here, Neil. So over the years, over the past elections, we've had smooth election days. And I think this is another one of those days as well, because we have a village WhatsApp group, and I would have been encouraging them to, respect each other's decision and political views. And we've had a smooth day so far. I think it will continue throughout the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Tusha. We were speaking there with the Tusha of Tapakuma village at one of the lake communities on the Essequibo coast. And we can now take you to some footage of voting in region number 3, where, as has been the case across the country, people have turned out early to vote. They've been very enthusiastic to do so.
I know that there's been a very heavy campaign on all sides, but ultimately it comes down to what is in the best interest of the Guyanese people. What am I voting for? What did I put my X there for? What do I want? What do I want to see for my community in the first place? What do I want to see from my family? And I believe that really it is about the people of this country that matters.
We had one instance where someone came, an agent from, I think it's the AP, but they wanted the ballot to come outside. They asked the GCOM agent for the ballot to come outside, and we know that is not obviously permissible. So that was cleared up pretty quickly, but it's a very, very smooth process here at FAQs. Very, very smooth process, and the lines are moving very fast.
You're saying an agent
yes,
of the opposition, or APNU, sorry, requested the ballot?
Yes, they actually asked GCOM officer for it to come outside for the person to vote, and obviously they said no. Because
is this in the case of this somebody with disability? Is that it?
No, the person is in a wheelchair, yes. But you know what happens there. They go inside. The person is very active. The person can go inside, and that actually happened right after the GCOM officer obviously objected. So it was smooth.
My name is Colin Haynes, and it was very good. It was very orderly. Instructions are also very clear. As you can see, they have the voting process both inside and outside. So I think it was very good. All the processes were followed, all the protocols were followed, and it was very smooth.
It was good, actually. It was really good, quick, fast, and easy. Everybody looked like they know what they're doing. And well, to me, the first time I actually got a vote, because I didn't really grow up here, so glad to know that I can make a change in my homeland and to do something different, which is really good, to see our country going forward, and it was really easy. Excited for me at first, and I really enjoyed it.
The voting process was quite smooth.
It was very smooth. I spoke to the polling agents inside. It's been very busy this morning, but it's been going very, very smoothly. We were in.
As the voting continues, international and local observers are checking on the process at various polling stations across the country. The European Union is fielding the largest group of observers for these elections. Earlier, the chief of mission briefed reporters after having visited a few polling stations.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for coming to this press point. And it's a very important day for Guyanese democracy, and I'm very proud that European Union's election observation mission is present here during this E-Day. And I want to wish you all the best for that. As you all know, today we as European Union Election Observation Mission, we have 50 observers observing the elections in many villages and towns all across Guyana, in all regions. Our observers are present today observing this important part of Guyanese democracy. We are gathering information and, as you know, observing the elections. And with this, we are present from the very early morning during these elections, witnessing not only the opening of the stations across the regions, but also we will be present during whole process until this process ends. So we will be we witnessed the opening. Now we are observing the voting process, but we will be also at the tailoring and transmitting the information. We also, while collecting this information, we are transmitting our findings to our statistical hub, a special hub which we established here in Georgetown, where we gather all the information. You can imagine with 50 observers who are very active observing these elections in many parts of Guyana, we collect a lot of information. And this information is collected within our statistical hub here in Georgetown. This will give us a very clear picture from the voting process from all the regions of the country. We are really very well prepared. I just remind you, this is the biggest compoundment of the observers which observes these elections. It's 50 of us. And we are also being equipped with our specialists on different fields, also analyzing all the gathered information. This morning, as some of you witnessed, I was also observing the opening process in one of the polling stations here in Georgetown, and I will continue visiting the polling station throughout the days. I just visited, I think, the fourth or the fifth one, where the elections are going on. In the evening, together with other observers around the country, will follow the process of tabulation in all regions of Guyana to have also, again, a comprehensive picture. I would like to stress something what is very important, and it's worth to stress again. We are here to observe the elections. We provide impartial, factual reports, which are very valuable, I believe, for this country. Our presence aims to contribute to a better understanding of the electoral. We are, and over time, support its improvements. This is something we very much value all across the globe, that we believe in these democratic processes, which is also Guyana part of. We are here not to interfere in any processes. I want to stress this very hard, but we are witnessing and sharing the finding in transparent and very professional manner. On behalf of our mission, let me say something very important, which you, as fans and the nation, Guyanese nation, deserve very well. We want to wish you a peaceful and joyful election day. It's very important for us to say it, because we are here for a while already, for quite a long, and we really keep fingers crossed for the peaceful and joyful election, a day to celebrate democracy, a day where voters are able to make their free and well-informed choices through casting their vote to the ballot. Finally, I would like to invite you all for our press conference, which will be held 3rd of September at 11 o'clock in Pegasus, where we will show our preliminary findings of the elections, and after that, in 2 months, we will have full report with recommendations. But this press conference on 3rd of September will comments electoral process in Guyana. And I want to thank you for coming today. And if you have any questions, I'm for your disposal now.
What did you think about the 4 places you visited since morning? What can you say about the processes there?
Well, I cannot comment, Madam, on now. We are collecting the information, we are observing. So while the process is going on, our mandate, and you understand that very well, does not allow us to comment on that. But we are gathering information, we are collecting information. It's very detailed, our forms are very detailed. So you will be informed about anything what's going on and anything we observe. So there will be more information provided when all the voting process is finished.
The chairman of the Elections Commission, Justice Retired Claudette Singh, has issued a statement on these elections. She said GCOM has meticulously planned and executed every aspect of the electoral machinery, from the distribution of sensitive materials to the readiness of polling stations across the country. She said GCOM's dedicated staff have worked tirelessly to ensure that the logistical and administrative frameworks are robust and capable of handling the demands of Elections Day. The chairman of the Elections Commission has said that GCOM has conducted extensive simulations and drills to identify and address potential challenges to ensure a smooth and orderly process for voters. And that seems to have been holding throughout the day, as we have been reporting from various polling stations across the country. We join Vishani Raghuber, who is at Plaisance on the east coast of Demerara.
Good morning again, viewers. We're continuing our coverage of the Elections Day activities, the Elections Day voting from the east coast of Demerara. Now I'm joining you from the St. Paul's Primary School in Plaisance. Yes, we're back in Plaisance this morning. We've been observing what has been transpiring so far, and no complaints from anyone coming out so far. The process has been smooth and moving along. And I have someone with me who's a young voter. He didn't vote here, but he's a young voter, and he'll talk to us a bit about the process of voting that he experienced today, and just about the youths voting today. John, tell us first, how was the process of voting for you, and where did you vote?
Well, I voted at the Dynasty Club, that's in South Drumville Gardens, where my residence is. And the process was quite smooth. I went there just after 6 o'clock this morning. The polling clerk asked me for my voting documents. I used my passport to vote, not my ID, and they accepted it. I wasn't trying to test the system, but I had my passport. I used my passport to vote. And they took it. They administered my ballot paper. They stamped it as they should. And I was able to vote. It had to have been about 3 to 5 minutes. So as a young voter, I would like to encourage all the other young Guyanese. I know many, and I saw their social media posts and so forth, many persons are contending that, the elections might not make sense for them. Why vote? But your vote is really your voice, right? So instead of having to make a social media post and to complain, maybe something is not being done right in your community, or you want improvements or something, or you want the development that you have been seeing, the infrastructural development, the entire economic landscape to improve, this is your chance to actually put your voice where it matters. Not just sit down and be, quote unquote, a keyboard warrior, but to actually make a conscious decision and to set the country in a direction that you think it should go. Right? Of course, I have my own political persuasions. I'm not here to tell persons what there should be, but I would encourage all young people throughout this entire country. I know persons are watching your particular broadcast from regions 1 through 10. So anyone who is watching, not just the young people, but the elderly persons, I would have observed at my polling place, as well as here at Plaisance, several elderly persons coming out to vote. My heritage is from Plaisance. That's what I'm doing here right now. And I know many persons in the community. I've been walking the communities over the past weeks with our chairman of the NDC and some of the party activists. And we have been mobilizing a lot of people, a lot of older persons, young persons, a lot of first-time voters. You would be surprised that some of the first-time voters are not just persons who just turned 18.
but there's some persons who are in their 40s, in their 50s, who would have said, you know, they never saw anything being done for them before, especially in this area. And a lot of work has been done, especially since the last local government election in this particular Good for Wacton, Sparendam area, Pleasance area. And a lot of persons are saying now that they would like to vote because they have seen a lot of development that has taken place. So they are voting for the first time, not just at 18 years of age, now going on to the electoral list, but at 40 and 50. And we're very pleased by that.
There you just heard from John Edgehill, who's one of the persons here just observing what's happening as well, just as we are observing, looking on and listening to persons as they come out. Of course, this is the St. Paul's Primary School in Pleasance. Earlier, we were at the Pleasance Secondary School where we saw quite a number of persons voting. There was a steady flow of persons going in there and coming out back. And here, there's a more moderate flow of persons, but persons voting nevertheless, going in, coming out quickly after casting their ballots. And of course, I've been bringing you coverage from along the east coast of Demerara. My colleagues have been joining you from all across the country. Please continue to follow us on the newsroom for live updates of all Election Day activities.
Now we can join Avinash Ramzan, who is further up on the east coast at Beehive. Avinash has been checking at polling stations as he travels along. Avinash, can you give us an update on what you've observed on the East Coast?
Thank you, Neil. So, as I mentioned in that earlier report, it has been generally smooth and quiet on the East Coast, at least up until this point. There hasn't been that build-up of a crowd at the polling stations that I have been to. And I think generally what people have been saying is because it has been a public holiday, persons have been utilizing that time to come in at, a different allotment during the day. So there hasn't been that build-up along the way so far, and voting has been generally smooth based on the feedback that I've been getting from persons on the ground. A lot of persons just got into the polling booth, got their verification done, and cast their ballot and stepped out. I am at Beehive at the moment, as you mentioned, and I saw a couple. They weren't willing to go on camera, Neil, but what they told me is that they voted very early at Haslington on the east coast of Demerara, and then they came down to Beehive at a spot where they could catch some fish. So they're spending the time relaxing today and ensuring that they have a very good day. They have been monitoring the updates as well on all the different platforms and to get an idea of exactly.
This is September 1, Elections Day, and persons have been coming in and out, traversing here right at the complex, performing their democratic right by casting their ballots. And as I said earlier, persons have mentioned how the process have been so smooth. It's a sunny day, the sun is bright, it's a bit hot, but not too much. But we've been having fun, coming up and interacting with various residents as they relate what they seem to call Elections Day a very smooth and calm day.
Thank you so much, Oshana, for sharing that with us there in Melanie Damashana, reminding us that the process is smooth and that persons are in and out. And of course, as she mentioned, the polling places across the country have increased and polling stations at those locations have also increased as well. And persons have the opportunity to go in and out in a very quick manner. I want to remind everyone that the Commissioner of Police, Clifton Hicken, has already spoken on safety and security for today. He has reminded residents that and Guyanese citizens at large that the police are at these polling places not to interfere, but to ensure that Guyanese are protected. Of course, he said very clearly and without a shadow of a doubt that there will be a very strong response from the security forces in making sure that security is maintained. He said, and I quote, "Any attempt to create disorder, intimidate others, or break the law will be dealt with swiftly and decisively, and we have confidence in the people of Guyana," end quote, from Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken. Turning our attention to the Aquatic Center, that is also a polling place. Simeon Rayaram is there. He's been visiting a number of the communities on the East Coast as well, and he has this report to share with us.
This is the Linden Aquatic Center, and this is another polling station for GCOM
for the the 2025 general and regional elections. And as you can see, there's not much persons out here, which makes voting smooth and faster. And so if
sharing that update there with us from the Aquatic Center, and you can see that those tents are there and persons have the opportunity to move in between those tents. Chief Elections Officer Vishnu Prasad at a press conference yesterday reminded everybody that GCOM is fully prepared and equipped to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. And I think a little later in the program, we'll have a chance to listen to Vishnu Prasad. But we want to travel along the Soos-Dyke-Linden Highway, that is, by the way, currently being resurfaced and reconstructed, all the way to Linden in Region 10, and speak with Tracy, who is there and who also has an update to share with us on how E-Day is going in the Linden Township. Tracy, tell us a little more.
Good morning. My name is Tracy Liverpool, reporting from the Linden Foundation Secondary School polling place in Amelia's Ward on the Mackenzie Shore. This is the first of several polling places that we will be visiting today on the Mackenzie Shore. Now, just to give an update, we would have arrived here shortly after 5:30 a.m. this morning, and a number of persons were out very early to cast their votes. They were seen, just waiting in an orderly manner. Polls open at 6 a.m. Persons enter, they came out. We spoke to several persons, and they reported that the process was very smooth and easy. In terms of numbers, I would say that there have been a reasonable turnout. It's important to note that the Linden Foundation Secondary School polling place is the largest, it has the largest list of electors on the Mackenzie Shore with 10 different stations at the secondary school. On the grounds, you would have noticed GCOM officials, observers, and police officers who are just here to, ensure that the calm remains throughout the day. And that's your update for now from Linden on the Mackenzie Shore.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing that with us. Of course, coming there from region number 10 at the Linden Foundation Secondary School, of course, where the largest amount of electors have to vote there. And as she mentioned, there are about 10 polling stations there to ensure people can vote accordingly. Chief Elections Officer Vishnu Prasad, in a recent press conference, also pointed to the importance of the ink. And he pointed to the fact that the ink being used by the Guyana Elections Commission to identify that persons have voted is an ink that is not easily washable. And you're going to see on your screen a number of individuals who have proudly displayed their inked fingers after voting on election day. Of course, these individuals would have participated in the electoral process, and subsequent to their participation would have been asked to dip their fingers in that ink that is expected to remain for quite some time. There have been concerns and unfounded concerns raised that some people have tried to wipe the ink off and try to vote again, but that simply cannot happen, not only because the ink is very difficult to be removed, but also because of the fact that several polling agents, party agents, are present at these polling places and have a list where they tick off names of individuals who have already voted, and those persons will be stopped and even arrested because it is an offense if they attempt to vote again. So you see on your screen a number of those persons proudly displaying their fingers after casting their vote in the general and regional elections 2025, and we're extremely happy to see that happen. I should also show my finger as well, because I have also voted already. I voted earlier today, and I can still see a lot of the ink is still there on my finger, no matter what I do with this finger, although I've washed it quite some time, a few times even since voting. So that is what you'll have happening across the country. A lot of that is transpiring, and a lot of that is happening across the country, and we will continue as we go through the proceedings of our program to tell you what's happening. And not only will we have those pre-recorded updates, but we'll have persons calling in live to share with us exactly what is happening And of course, one such person that is going to be joining us, you saw her just a few moments ago, Oshana Happy, who remains on the East Coast and will continue to tell us all that's happening on the East Coast. I'm happy now that I have the opportunity to speak with her here in person and on camera so that she can answer a few questions that I have for her. Oshana, are you there? Can you hear me? Maybe a little difficult for Oshana. Can you hear me? All right, we're gonna come back to Oshana and ask her a few questions.
Good morning. How are you doing?
A little later, just to make sure that she's fully locked in and can, of course, stay with us. We want to remind people about all that's transpiring here on September 1st. We pointed out that the joint services have already voted. They cast their ballots on the 22nd of August. Deputy Chief Elections Officer Anil Giddens pointed out that 83% of the registered electors there in the joint services actually turned out to cast their vote on the 22nd of August, and that ensured that secured the largest turnout for disciplined service members since local government election 2018. And it's very important that we share that information with you. What we also want to tell you is that there are about 27,000 individuals who are first-time voters, but have also expressed their satisfaction with the process as well. And so we're extremely happy to hear from them, as we are happy to hear from our senior citizens who have also been part of the process. I saw just a few moments ago one of the senior representatives of the Council of Persons Living with Disabilities, Ganesh Singh, casting his vote at his polling place a little earlier. And we saw on camera a little earlier as well another person living with disabilities who got the opportunity to go in and vote. And our senior citizens as well are being assisted in that process. When we come back, we have some more information to share with you about what is happening across the country and some information as well from GCOM on the process. Stay with us as we continue to bring you information as Guyana decides in 2025.
What's going on here, man? Why the two of y'all look so gloomy?
Uncle Joe, you know thief mommy in we house and thief all we valuables, including the ID card. Now election come around and we want to go vote. We get no ID card to identify ourselves. Now we can't go vote.
Well, you need to apply to GCOM to have your ID cards replaced. But you need not worry that you won't be able to vote because you don't have your ID cards. GCOM has put other measures in place to accurately identify voters like you who may not have the ID cards.
Well, how they gonna do that? How they gonna know is we name on the list if we don't have ID to prove it?
In addition to your ID card, voters can present their valid passports or valid driver's license if they have these.
Really?
But further, GCOM has placed your photograph alongside your name on a folio which will be at the polling station. And if you go to the polling station without a photo ID, you will be asked to state your name and address. The elections official will look at your face and then compare it with the photo alongside your name on the folio to confirm that they are the same. Then you'll have to answer some questions to verify your identity. If the election official is satisfied that you are the person who you claim to be, you will be allowed to vote after taking an oath of identity.
So you get to vote?
For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-02779 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Guyana is our country, our motherland, beautiful and free.
Women of Guyana, we are the foundation of our families, the pillar of our communities,
and the core of our nation.
The electoral season in our country is usually a tense period, but we have the influence to bring calm, to encourage dialogue, and to protect the peace in our homes, in our neighborhoods, and in our places of work.
Our children look up to us, learning from how we respond, how we speak, and how we interact. As Guyanese, we are blessed with an ethnically diverse makeup.
As leaders, as caregivers, let us remind our families, our friends, and all those around us that hatred and violence have no place in our country.
Mothers, sisters, daughters, our strength is in our love, our wisdom, and our ability to nurture and encourage unity.
In this election, let us use our voices to heal,
to uplift,
to inspire,
and to foster peace and harmony in Guyana.
Country, let's work together for all to see. We can live in
How to vote. Having been identified as the voter you claim to be, you will be given a ballot paper that is stamped at the back on the top section as well as the bottom section in your presence. On the ballot paper, provision is made for you to vote twice. Once at the top section where you vote for the general election and once at the bottom section where you vote for the regional election. Look for the name and symbol of the party of your choice in the top section of the ballot paper and mark your X in the empty box next to the party symbol. Then look for the name and symbol of the party of your choice in the bottom section and mark your X in the empty box next to the party's symbol. After you have voted, fold the ballot paper as shown by the election official, dip the first joint of your right index finger in the ink provided, then place the ballot paper in the ballot box. You will then have to peacefully depart the polling station. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-02779 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Join us every second and fourth Sunday at 3 p.m. right here on NCN for Youth in Action, a dynamic program dedicated to youth and everything that impacts their world. Don't miss out on the excitement as we explore the lives, challenges, and achievements of young people across the country. Youth in Action, the story of how our youth rise, strive, and thrive.
Join me, Ganesh Singh, on the National Communications Network for Disability and Youth, a program where we promote the rights of persons with disabilities, highlight their achievements and abilities, and discuss the issues that affect their independence and productivity. Our mission is to contribute positively to the transformation of the disability landscape in Guyana. Remember, disability rights are human rights.
As Guyana experiences transformational economic growth, the manufacturing sector is rapidly expanding as a major player in the international markets. Come, let's explore the products you have come to know and love over the years, made right here in Guyana.
We call it a strip or a knife. You have two counter-rotating shafts.
Everything is measured, everything is being prepared the right way to get the right flavor.
NCN's Made in Guyana is a program focusing on Guyanese manufacturers. It will showcase Guyana's rich natural resources, which are often used as inputs, infused with Guyanese culture, diversity, and identity. Join us on the first and third Mondays of every month at 19 hours or 7 p.m. for Made in Guyana, to explore the products, to explore the personalities, right here on NCN.
Together we can, and together we will. Too many possibilities to stand still. If you love who you are, and you would be a part of something amazing, can you feel the thrill?
My fellow Guyanese, we are a proud nation built on unity in diversity. Our cultures, traditions, and faiths make us unique, but our love for Guyana binds us together. Elections are a time to choose leadership, not a time for hatred and division. Every Guyanese has a right to vote. to be heard and to be respected.
We may not always agree, but we must always respect each other. Let us reject violence, rumors, and hate speech. Instead, let us embrace dialogue, understanding, and tolerance.
The future of our nation depends on the choices we make, not just through the ballot boxes, but in how we treat one another. Let's ensure that the elections are peaceful, respectful, and harmonious. Together we are stronger. Together we are Guyana.
Many voices, one heart. Many voices, one heart.
When you show them a photo of the ballot paper that you vote for them party.
Well, boy, I in that with you, cause I need a raise too.
Well, the two of you are going to go ahead without me. Because first of all, GCOM say you have to turn off your phone when you're in the police station. And secondly, if you're found guilty selling your vote, you'll have to pay a fine of $65,000 plus 6 months in jail. Right? So you're going to decide who paying the fine and who going to mind your children while you're in jail. Okay? And you the Jagdish, you could go and explain that to your wife.
What? Pay a fine and go to jail too?
Nah, I'm not in that.
For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-27729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Guyana is our country, our motherland beautiful and free.
Women of Guyana, we are the foundation of our families, the pillar of our communities, and the core of our nation.
The electoral season in our country is usually a tense period, but we have the influence to bring calm, to encourage dialogue, and to protect the peace in our homes, in our neighborhoods, and in our places of work.
Our children look up to us, learning from how we respond, how we speak, and how we interact. As Guyanese, we are blessed with an ethically diverse makeup.
As leaders, as caregivers,
our wisdom and our ability to nurture and encourage unity.
In this election, let us use our voices to heal,
to uplift,
to inspire,
and to foster peace and harmony in Guyana.
Country, let's work together for all to see. We can live in harmony.
Thank you for staying with us here on the National Communications Network as we bring to you Guyana Decides 2025, our coverage of the general and regional elections across the country. I mentioned to you just a few moments ago that the official list of electors stands at some 757,690 electors, and of that amount, there are about 27,000, not about, there are actually 27,879 first-time voters according to the most recent registration cycle. But I want to share with you just an overview exactly of where those registrants are and what that looks like. And we happen to have this very amazing interactive screen that gives me the opportunity to share that with you. So we were talking about 2020 a little earlier. I want to move over to 2025, and we're going to see the registered voters by region. What you see happening here is a breakdown of each region and the total amount of registrants. Obviously, the largest region is here, and you can see, rather, the largest region is here. That's the Demerara Mahaika region, and of course, that is about 323,000, with the second largest region being the East Berbice Quarantine region at 111,000. Totaling this, you'll get 757,690, as we pointed out. Now, in our first-time voters category, we have for each region here the amount of new voters that we have according to the last registration cycle. Now, that gives you the 27,879, but as we would know, the largest region would be region number 4, the Demerara Mahaika region, with 9,580 new voters. These are voters who would have attained the age of 18 or equal to 18 and are eligible to vote, and also a number of the new persons who would have just registered and received their ID cards in the last registration cycle. And that gives you a total of 27,879. So these first-time or new voters are very important to the electoral process. And we had the chance to speak to a few of them at a number of polling stations across the country. And we have those updates to share with you from them. Let's take a look.
This is my first time voting, and the process is very smooth. Everything is straightforward, and yeah, there's nothing to be worried about.
And for younger persons like yourself, what would you encourage them that haven't voted as yet? What would you say to them?
Well, it's their democratic right, and you should exercise it.
This is my first time voting. The process is very smooth, easy, not difficult.
Hey, tell us, how does it feel voting for the first time?
As a first-time voter, I felt the responsibility and pride being able to take part in the future of our country. And voting is just not a right, it's a way for us to speak up. And yeah, I'm happy.
So my name is June Macho Wilson. We're currently at the AFU Sophia Primary School, and I'm a resident of Sophia, and the voting experience was very practical. It's a very fun process, and also it's a learning experience for other people, and also the first time voter. I'm very excited to cast my ballot and cast my vote, and I think every young person deserves to vote and deserves to have a chance to vote.
There you have 4 electors, young persons who have cast their vote here in the 2025 general and regional elections, and of course sharing their views on the process and why every other Guyanese should come out and exercise their constitutional franchise. Very, very important stuff. We want to turn our attention once again to the township of Bartica. We had the chance to speak to the mayor of the city of Bartica, and he had a number of remarks to make about the electoral process and what it was like for him. And so we want to have a conversation with him. Let's hear what the mayor had to say.
We're here with Mr. Anthony Morris Sr., the mayor of Bartica. Mr. Anthony, tell us about the process that happened here in terms of the voting.
Well, first of all, let me just declare I finished voting just now. And certainly the polling station is divided into 3 polling booths. So it went smoothly, and what I noticed is that this for voters, there's a GCOM officer who checks on your ID card and tell you exactly which polling booth you'll be heading to, which makes the process easier. And right now there's no crowd, and it's a very smooth process. And I must say, the officers in there are very polite in advising you what you have to do and so forth. Make sure that you're doing the right thing and you proceed with what you have to do, because it's a democratic right.
And thank you very much. And how important is E-Day here in Bartica?
Well, very, very important, and it's a very significant day for us, Bartician, because you know, we're noticing the progress that is happening presently, and certainly we want this progress to continue. And I think Bartician place a lot of emphasis on this day because they want to make certain that they exercise their democratic right and to exercise their franchise in choosing which party they would like to have them govern the country of Guyana.
And for persons who, let's say more so first-time voters, what would you say to encourage them to come out and vote?
Well, certainly I want to emphasize the point that you have been given the right and the power as you turn the age of 18. That's the eligible age that gives you the democratic right to vote. And at that age, your thoughts become independent and you're clear in your thoughts what you want to see in your country, what are some of the things you want to have been done, and certainly at that age you want to make sure your vote counts and to see your country move from one standard to another standard and for progress to continue.
All right, thank you very much, dear. So we had the interview there with Anthony Morris Sr., the mayor of the township of Bartica. That's in region number 7.
It's a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
There you have the mayor of Bartica, Anthony Murray, there sharing his remarks on the electoral process. As we've reminded you, GCOM has been putting all systems in place to ensure that there is a free, fair, and credible elections. That includes ensuring that all presiding officers are in place, all assistant presiding officers, and every other agent and every other official of the Guyana Elections Commission at every single polling place. They are also in place. Very, very important that that happens. Of course, we have comments from the Guyana Elections Commission and the government-nominated commissioner, Mr. Sais Gunraj, who has an update on the electoral process to share with us. Let's take a look.
All right, good day. It's now 11 o'clock and I'm time stamping it so that you get an appreciation of how far along in the process we are. It's now 5 hours since polls have been open. Everywhere is moving as smoothly as possible. We've had a couple of reports of longer lines or slower processes, but by and large, those have been resolved and resolved pretty well. I just observed at this polling station, or this polling place, which is St. John's College, several discipline services envelopes containing discipline services, ballots to be intermixed, being dropped off here. The receipt and acceptance by the polling presiding officers. Very smooth process. All in all, no issues thus far. As you can see, a lot of there's literally no one waiting here to vote. And in that regard, I've seen a greater turnout than others. This has perhaps been one of the slower locations. Generally, people have a right to vote. It's your duty to participate in the process, and I just encourage everyone to participate in the process. And let's get this day as successful as we can.
Sais Gunraj, dear government-appointed commissioner, of course, sharing with us remarks from the St. John's College and explaining to us what's happening over there. Of course, that's very important, and I've mentioned before that GCOM has, as a matter of policy, implemented a series of measures to make sure that persons don't enter the polling stations with their phones, and as a matter of fact, they ensure that there is a designated compartment for them to be able to place those cellular devices and any other recording devices before entering the polling station. Very, very, very important. We want to remain in the capital city as we continue to bring you those live updates. We want to remain in the capital city, but we want to head close to the Eagle there that starts the Mandela to Eccles Highway and head into South Roimville. Beyonce Roberts is joining me from the South Roimville Primary School, I think it is. Beyonce, good morning.
Good morning, Shikwan. Yes, we're here at the South Roimville Primary School. We're now setting the scene, really. Persons are now turning out. A few persons would have already casted their votes, but so far, everyone would mention that the process has been really smooth, really quick, and persons are very excited to be voting today.
Yeah. Could you tell me a little bit about voter representation? Have you seen senior citizens there, young persons there? What is it looking like at the primary school? Beyonce, having a little glitch there. I'm sure we're going to hear from Beyonce in just a moment as she lets us know what the voter representation is like there at the South Roimville Primary School. Of course, that is only one of many of the other updates that we've received across the country, where many young persons have turned out, many of whom are first-time voters, sharing with the National Communications Network what their experience was like, and encouraging other young people to participate in the process. We have seen as well several senior citizens being assisted by members of the Guyana Elections Commission, but also being assisted by many other persons. I think Beyonce is back with us. She should be able to talk with us now. Beyonce, can you hear me?
Yes, Shukwan, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah, so I was asking about voter representation, senior citizens, young people. What is the scene like?
It's a variety, honestly. We're seeing young persons, we're seeing the senior citizens, we're also seeing persons living with disabilities coming out to vote. So it's a variety. Every member of the population seems to understand how important it is today for them to cast their ballots.
Yeah, definitely. I hope you get the chance to speak with some of those young people and share that with us a little later in the program.
Definitely.
All right, good. Take care. Stay safe. Beyonce there, coming to us from the South Rhymeville Primary School, letting us know that there is a diverse crowd that has gathered there, or rather a diverse gathering of people that are there to make sure that they cast their vote and participate in the general and regional elections 2025. Simeon has now moved from the Aquatic Center and is now in A Field Sophia and is joining us live. Simeon, good morning. It's almost as if you're teleporting this morning.
Hi, Shukwan. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah.
Just not too long ago, we came from the East Coast, but now we're in Sophia, where persons are also exercising their right for elections. And as we can see, persons are out here in numbers. Right now, I'm at A Field Sophia, Nursery School, and we can see a few persons heading towards there to make their voting.
Have you had a chance to see what the representation is like? Have you seen a lot of young people there as yet?
Well, for the various locations we visited, we had representation from, I must say, the different age group represented well, whether being the young people, straight up to the older folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very important. Simeon, thanks. If there's anything else that you need to let us know, we'll call you back and get that information from you. Yeah, thanks, Simeon.
Definitely. Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, there's Simeon there. He's at the Sophia Nursery School in A Field, Sophia, and I'm sure he'll have the chance to visit the other fields there in Sophia to give us an update on what is happening in and around the country. We'll continue to bring you these live updates so that you understand the kind of scene that is being set across the country in making sure that the elections is free, is fair, and is credible. We had the chance to listen to two observers from, namely, respectively, from the European Union and also an observer from the Carter Center, Jason Carter, the lead observer there at the Carter Center. And so we'll continue to bring you those kind of updates. We will continue to share that information with you so that you understand all that is transpiring across the country. Once again, GCOM has asked that all Guyanese pay attention only to the Guyana Elections Commission for official declarations of results, to make sure that they listen and pay attention to GCOM so that they can have credible information and should not pay attention to any other source for official declarations that will be made in the coming hours and in the coming days. Of course, the new law prescribes each and every polling station, first of all, to post all of those statements of poll on the outside of the polling place, but also to make sure that those polling stations, that those statements of poll are placed on GCOM's website as well. So you can follow, as everybody else can, follow the statements of poll and see that this process is a transparent process and that everybody has the opportunity to do their tabulations so that we don't run into any issues this time around. We have the opportunity to listen to some more first-time voters who are sharing with us their experiences, and a number of other voters across the country who are sharing their experiences. Let's move over and take a look at this feature.
It was very easy. I didn't have any problems.
And for younger persons like yourself, what would you encourage them to do?
I would let them to know come out to vote.
What was the process like this morning voting?
It was very good. It was fast, reliable. I didn't waste no time.
Yeah. And for persons that are home looking, especially the younger ones that are voting for the first time, what would you say to them?
Come out and vote.
Just show me, what was the process like casting your ballot this morning?
It was smooth sailing, I have to say. The process was very short. Once you get into the building, it was like about minutes.
And for persons that are at home and haven't voted as yet, what would you encourage them?
To come out and cast your ballot. It is your democratic right. So encourage people to come out and do.
Yeah, the process was very easy and it was encouraging to vote because it was fast. And anyone who had any doubt about, it was slow or anything, or we have any problem or lines and stuff like that, we shouldn't bother with that. It was very easy. I get it right away. Didn't even last time for 2-3 minutes, and there was it.
Okay.
And I have to be full.
Any final encouragements for Guyanese who would, who's probably deciding if to vote or not?
Well, they should vote because the country is growing very fast and we're having a lot of opportunity to get up in life, A lot of stuff is going on and we might not understand it now, but we will understand it later in life, as we get older. Always very important to have certain things in our life, So things like that we should need as Guyanese to learn because I grew up in the hard times, where we could never had afford to get a house lot. I had to struggle to buy my own land, my own house. I could not own anything. Nobody gave me anything. So I struggled even to buy stuff for our workshop. We used to gotta fight hard to repair them over and over. Could not afford to go to a store and buy something brand new or like what people do today online. We couldn't do that then. It was a big struggle. The blackout wasn't easy either. Sometimes the blackout lasts 3-4 days. You can't store nothing in your fridge. Everything spoiled. It was like you couldn't push your business hard. You couldn't get enough rest. And when you sleep in there, you don't have a fan or air conditioning. You really not get a proper sleep. So things like that are buggy a lot. So today is far different from that, from then. It's a big improvement. So the young people today should know that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm a first-time voter. We voted at the Aquatic Center. Everything went smoothly, came in, everything just went smoothly.
Yeah. And for persons within your age range that might be voting for the first time as well, but they haven't voted as yet, what would you encourage them?
Come out, vote for the party of choice, is your right to vote.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, very peaceful and quiet process. Love that.
And for persons who ain't voted yet, what would you tell them?
I would love to tell them to come out and vote in numbers.
Okay, it was just a walking process. It was very easy. I never expected this storm go wrong. But last year it was a bit, difficult compared to this year's.
And for Guyanese who may still be deciding if to vote or not, what is your advice for them?
Guys, you need to come out and vote. It's very simple, easy. It's not long you guys are taking.
Good morning, guys. My name is Devin on behalf of Frontline Security. I came down to vote this morning. This is my second time voting. The process was quite easy. It's hassle-free. The process is very smooth. There's no trouble. I would like to encourage others to come down and vote this morning because it's your right to vote and you have the right to determine what betterment you want for your country. That's it. I would just like all those first-time voters, second-time voters, come now and vote.
How was your experience this morning?
It was nice. Can you put up your
So what would you say to some young persons who are still contemplating if they should come out and vote? What would you say to them?
Oh yes, this is your right. Come out and vote. This is your right to vote. This is your right to your future. Yes, come out and vote.
Come here and vote this evening and it was very smooth and no problem. You guys could come out, all the young people, and this is a little encouragement to the young people, so you could come out and vote so you could make the right choice and you know the best.
Thank you so much. Of course, we're still here in the studio and we have some information that we want to share with you in relation to the 2015 and 2020 elections, because we want to give a contextual analysis so you can keep this in mind when tabulation begins across the country. So we spoke earlier about the 2015 breakdown. And in all areas, we know that in 2015, the APNU AFC received 50.3% of the vote, while the PPPC received 49.2% of the vote. And that's 207,000 to 202,000 respectively. But the question many people may have on their minds is, how does this translate to the amount of seats that you find in Parliament when Parliament is commissioned? And so we want to show you that, and you'll have the chance to see here. You'll have the chance to see here the voter breakdown, and what we were able to point out in this particular graph is the number of seats allocated to the two particular parties in 2015. Of course, we remember that the APNU AFC received 33 seats in that particular election, 33 seats, and of course the PPPC received 32 seats in that election. And so that is how the voter count was broken down in this particular electoral cycle. We can move over to the 2020 elections, and you'll have the opportunity to see here as well. We'll have the opportunity to see here as well the voter breakdown in 2020. Now, the voter breakdown in 2020 was a little different. And I want you to first see the vote count for 2020. You will find that the APNU AFC received 47.3% of the vote, and the PPPC received just about 51% of the vote in 2020, and you'll see that breakdown there. And once you have this understanding, you'll have the opportunity to see how the seats are broken down, and you'll find that the APNU AFC in 2020 received, as we pointed out, 31 seats. In 2020, you had a joinder list between the LJP, amongst the LJP, ANOG, and TNM, and that gave them 1 seat. And then the PPPC with 33 seats in 2020. And so that's the breakdown, and that is how it's going to be allocated in 2025 as well, when we have those numbers. But I think joining me now in studio is Taralyn Harris, who is still on the east bank of Demerara, to share with us what's happening in her neck of the woods. And of course, Taralyn is here with us. Taralyn, thank you so much for joining us. Where are you?
What an interesting morning this has been. Of course, the morning started off very, very early. And our first location was Linden, where Prime Minister Brigadier retired Mark Phillips passed his vote along with his wife and his daughter. Of course, after that, we went to quite a few locations where polling stations, everything was very, very smooth. The persons that we spoke with, they had no trouble, of course, understanding what it is they had to do, and of course, passing their votes. Many of the voters said, this is so important for our future. And so, encouraging you, if you haven't decided to head out to the polls just yet, we've got just about 6 more hours left. So definitely head on out and cast your vote.
Yeah.
Got inked with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Taralyn. Could you tell us, before you go, what you've seen in terms of voter representation? Have you seen a lot of young people, senior citizens coming out to vote? What has that been like?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. So I'm asking about voter representation. Did you have the chance to see how many young people came out, how many senior citizens were out at the different venues you visited?
Oh, well, we saw quite a few senior citizens, actually. And some of the photos that we sent in, persons basically hobbling along, maybe with a walking stick or one of those frames. But they were definitely out in their numbers, especially the early bird. Those were definitely for senior citizens.
Yeah.
Yet to see some more young people, but there were quite a few first-time voters that we interacted with. And that was quite something. They all seemed very, very excited, actually, to be a part of this process.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's
Thank you so much, Tarlin, for sharing that there with us. We're happy that Tarlin had the opportunity to tell us a little bit about what's happening at Houston and along the east bank of Demerara. We're extremely happy to hear that. Like Tarlin said, if you have not yet gone out to vote, please make sure that you do so at the soonest possible time,
Yeah.
and make sure that you exercise your democratic right and constitutional franchise. Your vote is your voice, and on behalf of NCN, I want to encourage you to do that. Of course, we will continue to bring you those live updates as we have been doing, and continue to give you a contextual analysis of the elections period here in 2025. Joining me or joining us to share a little bit about what's happening on the west side. It's some people would believe is the best side. Rafaela is there. Rafaela, good morning. Tell us where you are.
Hi, good morning. So I'm currently at the Bakersville Nursery School. And currently there's not a lot of persons here. It's going very smoothly. So the process is a little slow in terms of the amount of voters. There's not a lot. So that's basically the updates here at Bakersville Nursery.
Yeah. And you saw a lot of young people there. What are you seeing? Young people, older people?
I'm not seeing anybody actually at this location. But at previous locations, there were a lot of older folks.
Okay.
They had some young persons as well, and it was very inspiring to see the young people come out and to vote. They even shared their advice on why other young people should vote and why they should be a part of this. So it was a very great experience, and they all expressed their interest and exactly why is it that they're out here.
Yeah.
So everything was basically running smoothly as it should go.
Yeah. Rafaela, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We'll touch in with you a little later to hear a little bit more on what's happening on the west side. There you have Rafaela there at the Bagotsville Nursery School. I believe that's on the west bank of Demerara, sharing that information there with us. What we've been told all the time is that the process has been extremely smooth across the country. There have been little to no hiccups. And if there have been any hiccups, the GCOM staff have been equipped to take care of them. We want to remind people to check GCOM's website and GCOM's Facebook page to find your polling place. We've seen some reports of persons turning up to different polling places and then recognizing that their names are not on that particular list but on another list. But we want to make sure once you have the opportunity to check, that you check the GCOM's website, and you'll have a great understanding of where you should be and where, of course, you have the opportunity to vote. That's very important that you do that. Joining us in studio now is Donnelly De Silva, who is there at the St. Stanislaus College. Donnelly, what is the experience like there in front of St. Stanislaus for elections?
Well, hi, Shaquan. It's a little bit slow right now. There aren't much people here right now. However, for me, being down here in town and going to the different schools down here in town, one thing I've noticed thus far is that there are a lot of young media professionals on here getting to come out and ask for interviews and so on. So that has been like such a quite interesting fact for me thus far. But in terms of the presence out here, it's a bit slow. I think because of the mass amount of people that we had earlier on, because everybody came out, they were quite early. It's just getting a little bit quiet now.
Yeah. Donnelly, thanks so much for that update. Stay safe on the road.
Thank you.
Yeah. Donnelly telling us a little bit about what's happening there at St. Stanislaus College. St. Stanislaus is one of many other polling places established by GCOM across the country to make sure that persons have the opportunity to vote, and persons have the opportunity to do that in a safe and very smooth way. We've been happy to spend the last few hours with you here on NCN. We are going to continue our broadcast at just about 1 p.m. so that we can bring you more updates about what's happening across the country. And we want to remind you once again, before we leave, that it is your right, it is your duty to vote. It is your duty to vote. So please make sure that you do so. Visit GCOM's website to find out where your polling place is so that you can have the opportunity to exercise your constitutional franchise. Once again, we are going to be back at 1 p.m. and we're going to be on a little later in the evening to give you updates on any declarations that may have been made and give you some updates and insight into all that is happening in this electoral process. With that being said, thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Shaquan Gill, and until we meet again next time, goodbye for now.